the Vogue has shortlisted me as one of the winners.
Destiny Pinto is a designer and the CEO of By Destiny Pinto, an accessories brand that has already been recognized by Vogue, Forbes 30 Under 30, BMW, and Net-a-Porter, transforming medical devices into bold and stylish expressions of identity.
My favorite part was the official British Vogue shoot in Munich. It was the whole Vogue set up with like these massive drapes. It was just so cool seeing the Vogue team officially work. And Joaquin, who's one of the winners, he was super interested in like the BMW cars. And I was just looking at like the Vogue team and like the behind the scenes. I literally had moments where I was just stepping out and being like, this is not real. Like, this is not happening.
Quick note before we start. If you have enjoyed this podcast and want to support our incredible guests, please follow Low to Grow Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Welcome to Low to Grow, the podcast transforming life's toughest moments into opportunity for growth. I'm Annie, a Forbes Under 30 technology founder whose entrepreneurship journey ran parallel to a mental health awakening. In every episode, I sit down with inspiring individuals and delve into how they manage to turn their personal or professional challenges into opportunities for growth. If you're facing uncertainty in your life, feeling down, or simply need a kick of inspiration to keep moving forward, this is your space for the honest and uplifting conversations that you will want to hear. Hit follow so you never miss an episode, and let's dive in. Today, I am joined by someone who is redefining what innovation and accessible entrepreneurship really means. Destiny Pinto is a designer and the CEO of By Destiny Pinto, an accessories brand that has already been recognized by Vogue, Forbes 30 Under 30, BMW, and Net-a-Porter, transforming medical devices into bold and stylish expressions of identity. Her own journey began with her experience of rheumatoid arthritis, and she began designing accessories both for herself and her best friend. Her brand quickly grew into a global community of people with a desire to be seen and to really personalize something that they have to wear every single day. At the heart of it all is Destiny's belief in identity, expression, and inclusive innovation. Destiny, I am delighted to have you on the Low to Grow podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
And likewise, I've been looking forward to our recording for a while now. Destiny, who do you want to be listening to our conversation today?
Who do I want to be listening? Anyone, to be honest. But I think specifically just take from this conversation that you can do anything you really put your mind to, as long as you just keep at it and keep persevering. And you can do difficult things that are still really scary for even me, like starting a business, being diagnosed with like a new health condition and dealing with that.
Has there ever been a point where you wanted to give up?
Ooh, has there been a point? I think never give up. I think the thing that's kept me so long is that that's just never been an option. But there's definitely been points where I'm so overwhelmingly stressed, where I'm just like crying to like everyone around me. But I think those moments are important because without them, you're never really going to know how far you've come or how much stronger at dealing with certain things you've become.
Destiny, where does your story start?
My story starts probably in university. I was studying design for art direction at UAL, and that's when I first started getting flare-ups of my rheumatoid arthritis. And I got diagnosed, and I just saw that it messed with the project I was doing, like the work I was doing in university, because I would usually create physical artwork. So I just remember getting really overwhelmed, anxious, and not being able to physically create. So that's when I started this project, firstly turning the medical device that I wear, which is compression gloves to reduce inflammation because of my arthritis, firstly turning that into an accessory to wear with my outfits. And then secondly, figuring out a new way to create this project virtually and on my laptop as a more accessible way for me to design instead of physically creating stuff that's very strenuous to my body. And yeah, I just started this project, which then when I graduated turned into my brand. It's now become a business where it's a fashion brand, an accessories label for all types of medical device users. And now it's also just mainstream accessories with accessibility like seamlessly built into it.
I love that. And I know that building for your friend was also quite central to your story. How did that come about?
Yeah, so like I said, when I was doing my compression glove designs, I was in university and she's been my best friend ever since we were 14. And she got her ostomy bag surgery as well around the same time. Seeing that we both wear these medical devices for different types of autoimmune diseases. And we both had an experience where it was an invisible disability, but the only thing that was visible was our medical devices. And because we both love fashion so much, I just started basically designing both of us like matching accessories. And that's kind of how it grew to like matching medical devices. And then I was like, if I'm doing it for both of our medical device, why not take it one step further and include everyone else's medical device as well?
That's beautiful. It's such an organic and also meaningful growth journey. And I know that you launched your Addison bag recently as well. I've seen you worked a few times now at the gala, most recently. Could you describe how the design process and the production process of that felt for you?
Like all my projects with my work, I feel like it's all very personal and like intertwined with my personal growth with the business and the brand, and then also my own health. This Addison bag, it was literally no different. I want to create a shoulder bag with accessibility built in. So I spoke to so many different women, so many different wheelchair users, so many different women with problems such as endometriosis, women that have like period charities, stuff like that, to just get their thoughts on what they'd want to see in a shoulder bag. And then while also designing this shoulder bag and manufacturing it for the first time ever, I had to deal with my own health and my own flare ups, realizing that physically I am not able to go as fast or as intensely as someone else who's doing a product launch would go. So I kind of just had to lean back and go slowly and figuring out new ways to create again. I thought I was done with that in university, but I feel like I'm constantly being reminded that like, no, it's not done and you need to learn new ways. So that's when I started doing AI voice dictation, doing AI visuals to do fun little campaign visuals for the Addison bag.
I like that how you're really leaning into using AI tools because as someone who is basically a solopreneur with, I'm not sure how many team members you have at the moment, actually.
I have no employees or anything. I am a solo founder, work with external manufacturers, and I have a few people on my team, like managers and agents that help me with different aspects of the brand. But yeah, I am a solopreneur. I love that word.
Yes, you are a female solopreneur, and it's wonderful to see you really lean into AI tools. When you were first diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, how did those early days feel for you?
The early days of when I was diagnosed, I think my health was really just on a back burner because I was just in university. I was in my first year, and I feel like that was a priority for me, making the most out of my experience, making as many friends as I can, going out, doing as many experiences, because it was the first time I was living away from home as well. And then I felt like my health just kind of got in the way of that, where it was just really inconvenient. I was like, okay, well, now's not the great time for me to be like getting a flare up. And I just find myself using random items around my dorm. There's compression wear and like use as assistive devices. And then I think it kind of just, I had to have a moment. I think it was in second year at the almost at the end of my uni. No, yeah, second year. I think it was in the middle where I kind of just had to sit down. And I remember having a conversation with my best friend where we both just sat down and we were both going through quite personal journeys alongside our degree. And I was just like, there's no way I can physically ignore my health now and also do my degree. I had to incorporate this experience in what I was doing for my degree and what I was doing for my education. That's when I decided to focus in on third year to create this project and use it as a form of therapy for me to be able to be more comfortable talking about my illness, as a way to find more people with similar types of illnesses to me, and then also find new ways to create that's more sustainable for me. And I would actually be able to work in my degree and not drop out. Because that was a thought. I wouldn't actually drop out, but I feel like when I was really emotional and when I was going through really bad times in my health, I'd just be like, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. Finding new ways to create and then also having fun with it, like learning virtual design, learning how to use Blender, Marvelous Designer, and then also AI, ChatGPT just came out. I think it just gave me a new spark for creating and moving forward.
That's very beautiful, I think, when you were really struggling with your health and also your university and your workload. Were there people that you leaned into to help you get through those times? I think you mentioned your friend a few times.
Yeah, definitely my friend. All my friends are just such sweethearts. I feel like they were really there for me throughout everything, but especially my family as well. They are and have always been like my rock. They would literally drive down to my university almost every weekend or every couple weeks to like, give me food, just to do everything they can to make my experience in uni a bit easier for me. Besides my friends and my family, I don't think I had that much of a support system. I didn't really go to my university talking about how intense it was. So they didn't really give me that much support. Maybe if I had gone to them and talk to them a bit more about it, then maybe I would have got more resources. There was DSA, which is a thing called disability student something, ergonomic furniture and stuff that if you apply for it, you can get through university. And then there was also this thing where if you needed it, you can like get taxis to and from university. But I never really used it because I felt like it was just so much more hassle doing all that process and that admin thing to just get it. So I just ended up like booking a lot of things myself.
Okay, I see. I'm quite curious because going into university and that stage of life, like late teens, early 20s, that's a period where a lot of people go through a lot of change. And, sometimes moving out of their family home to university, that's also quite a big life transition. And for you, there was also the added onus of your health as well. Were there any moments where you felt that you were losing parts of yourself because of your diagnosis?
Mm, I don't think I ever felt like I was losing a part of myself. It was already a period where it was COVID and the pandemic. So I felt like everything was kind of up in the air anyway. And I knew that I was going to work extra hard to have the best experience I could. And that meant being more outgoing, more social, more putting myself up for like new experiences and stuff. And I knew that I was going to do that. I felt like it was a mindset thing from day one that I was going to push myself. In university, I really, really did push myself more. So I feel like I wasn't losing parts of myself, but I was definitely exerting parts of myself.
You definitely convened the energy and your experiences into making something, into creation. And that's what led to your brand and all the really helpful products that you have been able to make for your community around the world. So
Yeah.
tell me a bit about how you became to be featured in Vogue and have a partnership with BMW.
My Vogue project was called the Future Creators Competition. And it was when I graduated university. I was still working on my brand. I was still designing a lot of things. And I remember seeing this thing off like British Vogue is calling all fashion designers with BMW. And I made a deck and I basically reimagined all these medical devices and I put in a lot of my brand work and I basically told them what I do, what inspired it, and I applied for it. And then I completely forgot about it. And then a couple months later, it was like, you've been shortlisted as one of the winners. And I was like, no way. The Vogue has shortlisted me as one of the winners. And I don't know, it was very surreal. And then when I found out I was one of the winners, it was crazy. It was because I don't know, it went from like nothing really happening with my work and with my brand to then British Vogue reaching out and being like, we want you to be one of our future creators. And it was me and two other winners, Joaquin and Selena, and they're both such talented designers. It was a ongoing project for a couple months where they flew us out to Munich and took us to the BMW headquarters. And then we met the Vogue team, the BMW team. The aim was to create a design for them. And they really loved my reimagined hearing aid design. I made a little conceptual design based on the BMW car and they loved that. So I ended up creating a collection of assistive devices, including a hearing aid and then a compression glove, because one of the creative directors said that it's very significant to include the compression glove in the line of accessories because it directly tells the story of why I'm doing this in the first place.
Mm.
Inspired by my own chronic illness, and that's why I'm taking my medical device and then taking other people's medical device and creating.
That's a fantastic story arc, and it must have been so exciting to be flown out by Vogue to the BMW headquarters in Munich.
Yeah, it was so surreal. It was really great.
What was your favorite part of that trip?
Oh my God, literally we were there for like 4 days, I think, and every day was the most insane things ever. I think my favorite part was the official British Vogue shoot in Munich. We've done 2 official shoots with them, one in Munich and then one a couple months later in London. But the one in Munich was completely insane because it was the BMW cars. It was the whole Vogue setup with like these massive drapes. It was just so cool seeing the Vogue team officially work. And Joaquin, who's one of the winners, he was super interested in like the BMW cars because he's really into like automobile design and stuff. And I was just looking at like the Vogue team and like the behind the scenes of like how Vogue puts together a project. I just found that so, so cool. And I literally had moments where I was just stepping out and being like, this is not real. Like, this is not happening. I still don't believe it really did happen, to be honest, but it was really cool.
That's very humble of you to say. How has your ambitions for yourself and also for your brand developed since then?
When I first started, I think it was a lot of imposter syndrome because, firstly, like I said, going from like nothing crazy happening to then Vogue being like, we want you to be one of the winners. I think there was a lot of feelings of like, whoa, this is too much too quickly. And then there was also the fact that having rheumatoid arthritis, I just felt like I was not an expert in the field of accessible fashion and being the face of creating all these medical devices. I don't really know what I'm doing. I've just graduated university and then I just had to realize, which I've now realized, your lived experience is so important. And rheumatoid arthritis is a hidden disability. I feel like I knew so much about the disability space and about people's experience with it and chronic illnesses. There is still so much to learn, but I feel like I'm more equipped with being willing to learn, being more confident to speak to people and like ask about their own experiences and then have a bit more confidence to be able to tell a story the way I would want my story to be told and then the way the people I work with would want their story to be told as well.
What is something that you wish more people understood about living with a disability or living with a chronic illness?
Part of my brand is kind of showing that there's no particular or set way disabilities can look like. You can either love makeup, love fashion, or you are sick or you're disabled. The two can coexist into one. Me and a lot of other girls with hidden disabilities or chronic illnesses realizes that just because we look healthy and we look completely fine and like put together doesn't mean that we're not sick and doesn't mean that we're not having flare-ups or we're not going through a hard time. Not all disabilities are visible. And be more empathetic, ask them how they're feeling. If you know that they have a chronic illness, ask them if they're having a good day, if they're having a bad day, if there's anything you can do. Because I feel like with hidden disabilities and chronic illnesses, we kind of suck it up a lot of the time and kind of push through flare-ups. But I'm realizing now that I need to be more assertive and voice when I'm not feeling well or when I'm not having a good day.
What I really loved about the Addison bag was the color, actually. I've read that's a really bold color. And I
Yeah.
really love the contrast of having a really bright, visible color represent or be used or be directed towards hidden disabilities. And I think that's just such a powerful neon statement. And I'm quite curious, what are your favorite set of colors? What's the color palette that you lean towards yourself?
I think I'm such like a neutral girl. Like I love as you can tell, I love my like blacks, whites, grays. But then also the thing that I love is like I love like a pop of color with my accessories. I feel like accessories are where I love to play and I love to like add like the texture and the color. So that's what I wanted to do with the Addison. But then there was also from a marketing point of view, I knew that the red silver ostomy bag design that I created was the most viral of the designs. By making the Addison bag kind of have that similar aesthetic, I kind of knew what the algorithm would pick up, which thankfully it did.
Mm. And talking about algorithms, you have built quite a significant following online and a growing community of people who are living with hidden disabilities or chronic illnesses. What did you learn about building community and trust online, especially around something that's as vulnerable and as personal as medical identity?
My audience is filled with a lot of people with hidden disabilities, but also visible disabilities and chronic illnesses, but also people that just have nothing of that. They don't have any disabilities, no health conditions. They just really love the cause, which I love. what I've learned about my page and my socials is that just be like authentic and post what I would want to see. The best way to go ahead with fashion brands, which a lot of founders would agree, is like be your audience. Like you are your number one audience. Like when you start a brand because of your lived experience, you need to see yourself as like first audience member.
Mm.
All the content I create, even if it's just hot girls wearing medical devices, doing their thing and just being confident and visible and just loving fashion and all of that. Like it's the kind of content I would have loved to see when I was first diagnosed. And I still love to see now.
And how do you think that the perception around a disability has changed since you started your brand?
I don't know if it's changed that much, but I do know that in education and stuff, maybe they have more of like a better, stronger case study because I know a lot of people use my brand when they're talking about accessible fashion, which is really great to see. Because I knew when I was in uni and I was looking for specific brands and stuff, I found it quite difficult.
Well, congratulations. I think it's great to become the reference point
Oh,
for a whole class of accessories. So that's really, really special.
well, thank you.
You know, for any of the listeners, and these are people in their 20s or 30s, for those who might be navigating something similar, so having a hidden illness or having a chronic illness, what kind of encouragement would you give them?
Go easy on yourself and just let yourself do things quite slowly and definitely listen to your body when you're doing things because I know in this world there's a lot of hustle culture. You need to do things as quickly and as fast as possible. But the reality is when you have a chronic illness or disability, you can't do that. And it's unrealistic standard that's going to burn you out and lead to even more flare ups and even more time that you need to spend recovering. Yeah, just listen to your body, go slow, figure things out, prioritize your health alongside your work because your work's not going to get any easier if your health is bad. And try to reach out to other people that have similar things so you can have a bit of a support system and you know you're not alone.
The community that you're building around that will also help people as they find you and also your page. You mentioned you were at university when you first started building for your brand, and then now it's become a full blown brand and you're delivering to multiple countries across the world. Did you ever raise investment?
I've never raised investment. No, I've bootstrapped the entire thing. The process of setting up my company was quite a slow process. I just started operating as a sole trader first. I recently set up my LTD and it was an easy process. The application was an easy process, but I think I just prolonged it for so long because there was more of a mental block and an emotional block.
What was that block that you were facing?
Just like the severity of like actually having an official company and what that would entail. And I think a lot of things with running your own business and stuff, it's more of a mental game of like not willing to have the responsibility. So you're kind of pushing it off. But I think you just kind of need to work on your mindset and just like, it's okay, take baby steps and you'll figure things out as they come.
Does anyone in your family have their own company? Like, are you from a family of entrepreneurs or are you the first one to do so?
In my direct family, I'm the first one who's going solo and starting their own business. The rest of my family work a normal 9 to 5. But I think extended family, my uncle has his own business. He has his own hotel. So it's a bit different because it's also in a different country. So it's not I could really reach out and get help with stuff in the UK and stuff like that. So I kind of just had to figure information out myself through YouTube, podcasts, ChatGPT, learning just as much as I can. But then my family, just my direct family and my extended family, they support me in a lot of different other ways, which is helpful, I think.
For sure. I think family support is always so lovely and also so crucial and so core
Yeah.
to how entrepreneurs and especially as a solo founder would be able to start out. Destiny, looking ahead, what are your ambitions for 2026?
My ambitions would just be to just bring my brand and my company more to life.
What does that mean for you?
I think I've been laying the foundation of it throughout 2025 with a lot of admin stuff that I had to do and getting the building blocks and things in place, but I'm excited for 2026 to have more in-person events, have more community, have more physical products, which is already on the way with the Addison bag. Yeah, bring it to life.
Beautiful. And how could anyone who's listening help you towards that?
Ooh, if you want to buy my products, it's on my store. That's always helpful for a small business. Even if you don't want to buy anything, even just supporting me through social media, that's also super helpful.
Very true indeed. And what is one thing that you believe will allow more people to have better mental health?
Ooh, I think better mental health is taking care of your physical body is so important for feeling better mentally. I know, especially for me with chronic illness, taking care of my arthritis, dealing with flare-ups as they come, not pushing myself too hard, all leads to me feeling more relaxed and more calm. And then that helps my mental health. So even whether you don't have a chronic illness or whether it's just like going to the gym and being more active and keeping in shape and healthy, that also helps your mind so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to have you on the Low to Grow podcast.
Yeah, it's been so nice. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. You excited for the next episode? Follow Low to Grow podcast on Instagram and TikTok to keep in touch with new announcements. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Low to Grow podcast. If it resonated with you, leave a review and hit follow to help more people to find important conversations. Keep growing and see you next time.